Scott just made the point.
Jefferson used to be a lot more secure, not just.
President Obama asked Congress for authorization to do what he's already doing to the Islamic State. But 2,300 airborne bombing runs later, with ISIS still growing and conquering territory, does he actually have a strategy to win? I'm Scott Ott, joined now by Stephen Green and Bill Whittle. And this week on Trifecta, we go in depth with 3 episodes on Obama's war against the Caliphate. Can we kill our way out of this? Should Republicans push for boots on the ground? And what does ISIS really want? Well, MSNBC's Chris Matthews seems stunned when his hardball guest, State Department spokesperson Marie Harf, laid out the Obama solution to the Islamic State crisis. As you'll see, Harf was merely mouthing words that she'd heard during a 2012 presidential debate, but not from Obama.
We're killing a lot of them, and we're going to keep killing more of them. So are the Egyptians, so are the Jordanians. They're in this fight with us. But we cannot win this war by killing them. We cannot kill our way out of this war. We need, in the longer term, medium and longer term, to go after the root causes that leads people to join these groups.
I congratulate him on taking out Osama bin Laden and going after the leadership in al-Qaeda. But we can't kill our way out of this mess. We're going to have to put in place a very comprehensive and robust strategy to help the world of Islam and other parts of the world reject this radical, violent extremism.
Now, Harf and Romney both essentially suggested that we need to make life better for young Muslim men in other areas of the world, providing jobs in countries that have civil rights and the rule of law so that they have less incentive to pick up an AK-47 or strap on an explosive vest. Now, Stephen Green, folks on the right jumped all over Marie Harf and her boss, President Obama, with both feet, calling them both naive at best. But Obama apparently got his strategy from Romney. Does it make sense that the way to stop the flow of jihadi recruits to the Islamic State is to offer a better life off of the battlefield?
We're killing them, and we're going to keep killing them in bigger and bigger numbers. No, look, we've got this backwards. I don't know if Romney had it backwards in 2012, but look, what she was saying, young boys pick up 17-year-old boys pick up AK-47s because they can't find jobs. No, boys find jobs when picking up an AK-47 and just taking what they want, whether it's money or women, doesn't pay. And that's what happens in a civilized society. We punish people who do that. Now, where the Islamic State rules, it pays to pick up the AK-47 and take whatever you like. It's a lot of fun to be uncivilized if you've been taught that God smiles on that sort of thing. Now, we had civil society more or less in place in more or less of Iraq by the end of 2007, 2008. Then we had a president who pissed all that away. We had the foundations laid for a real civil society to flourish. The president threw that away in a fit of pique, and now he's got his little spokesmodel out there telling us that what Iraq needs is a jobs program.
Well, Bill Whittle, Chris Matthews asked the State Department spokesperson if we were killing enough of the enemy, and he scoffed then at her idea that the U.S. and her allies would somehow eliminate poverty for young Muslims. Do you agree with Chris Matthews? And do you think maybe we actually can kill our way out of this mess?
We can give it the old college try, Scotty. You know, there's nobody in this world needs killing more than these swine. Nobody needs killing on this planet more than these bastards. And so I do think that it is a two-tiered approach, that there has been a formula for victory, and we've seen the United States employ it 4 times, 2 times successfully and 2 times unsuccessfully. So we have 4 points on a line, and we can figure out pretty much how the line works. So basically, here's how it goes. If you defeat your enemy somewhat categorically, you do have to kill your way out of that. You have to eliminate the enemy fighters on the field. Those guys holding knives, executing, 22 cops at the same time, Coptic Christians, every one of those guys has to go. They have to go in a big old ball of fire, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. The guys that burned that Jordanian pilot need to go a little more slowly, in my opinion. But in any event, those fighters, those people out there in the streets now, the ISIS fighters have to be killed. Now, the question is, what happens once that happens? In our war against Germany and our war against Japan, we defeated both of those powers, and we then put in not only a civil society, but rule of law, as Steve pointed out. We put in the rule of law. We didn't create modern Japan or modern West Germany, which became Germany. We created the conditions that allowed the Japanese and the Germans to build West Germany and eventually Germany and Japan. Now, in Vietnam, we won that war, and then Congress cut funding to the U.S. defensive policy that would have kept South Vietnam free. The North knew that we were out of the game. They marched in, and how many people died in the camp? 7 million, something like that? Likewise in Iraq. Bush had won that war, and we had won the peace. And then President Obama bungles the status of forces agreement, and law goes away, and chaos ensues. Now, for those people who say we have no business staying in Iraq or no business staying in South Vietnam, I would point out we've been staying in Europe since 1945, and it's worked pretty well. And we've had forces in Japan since 1945, and that worked pretty well. So you can win, but you have to be committed to win the peace, not just the war. And the Democrats are committed to losing the peace. Not a question of like ignoring the peace or neglecting the peace. They're committed to losing the peace because they're the anti-war party, and you can't have war succeed, not if you're a Democrat.
Listen, it's possible that a Republican president could make U.S. aid and military support contingent upon Arab state reforms in human rights and economic freedom. And maybe that would result in some jobs and a better place to live for some young Muslim guys. But that's highly unlikely. As for a Democratic president telling Saudi Arabia, Yemen, or Qatar to straighten up or lose their allowance, no chance. So, while I'd like to see bumper stickers throughout the Muslim world that say, make jobs, not jihad, that's not a policy. It's a parody. Therefore, the best way to stifle recruiting and to save lives is to terminate the Caliphate immediately and with extreme prejudice.
Yeah.
Many ISIS recruits are educated men with passports and the means to travel. We can save them the airfare if we eliminate their commander and their comrades before they can get there. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the entire Trifecta crew at PJTV.com, I'm Scott Ott.